Hello, beautiful people. It is such a beautiful day here at the meeting place of heaven and earth. God and Goddess, thank you so much for this lovely day and the sun and all of the beautiful birds that have been fluttering about, singing praises and communicating with each other. Thank you so much for the trees and all of the energy and the oxygen that they give us. Thanks for all of the nature that is around us that we so often take for granted. Please help us to remember to connect with nature and in all the different ways, not just spending time outside playing in nature and grounding, but getting back to our Edenic state and surrounding ourselves more with natural things, trying to get away from all of the artificial things, the artificial consciousness that is trying to seduce us into the darkness. Help us to walk in our power and plant seeds of love, of truth and love and kindness, so that we can help awaken humanity to the divinity within, to the natural way of being and the best way to be, which is Yah's way. In the name of Elohim I pray. Amen. Today on the Nazarene calendar, it is Family Day, and our family and friends are not just those that are our blood relatives, but they are also the people that we live with, that we work with, that we are in constant community with. Really important that we are finding ways to foster peace with them. Our God and Goddess, immanent and transcendent, send to all your angel of peace. To my family and friends, send your angel of love. And just to say, we aren't unincluding our enemies in that, and realistically there are perceived enemies, because everything in this mother ovum is our family. We are all brothers and sisters, whether we are in a human skin or animal skin or the trees or all of these different creatures and beings around us are all part of the divine plan, souls that are part of the I am that we are. So let us find ways that we can restore peace in these different areas and send our friends and family love. Today, I wanted to read a short story from this book called Stories of the Spirit, Stories of the Heart, Parables of the Spiritual Path from Around the World. Another bookstore find, Zephyr Books in Wairika. I highly recommend that if you are ever coming to Mount Shasta. I love that place. I would really love to have a spiritual bookstore here in Mount Shasta. So Jaja willing, that will be manifesting in the future. Anyways, this is called The Brave Little Parrot, which doesn't actually say that in this book. I found that from looking it up online. And it goes like this. Once, long ages ago, the Buddha was born as a friendly little parrot. He lived happily in the forest and delighted in flying among the tangled branches of the huge forest trees. Wherever he went, he greeted other creatures with joy. He was a happy bird, glad to be alive and glad to have been given the gift of flight. One day, the skies over his forest home darkened, and without warning, a terrible storm thundered down, flashing and roaring among the ancient trees. The wind howled, lightning cracked, and one old tree burst into flames. Soon, the whole forest began to blaze as sparks blew everywhere. Terrified animals ran wildly in every direction, seeking safety from the burning flames and choking acrid smoke. When the little parrot smelled the smoke, he flung himself out bravely into the fury of the storm, crying out loudly as he flew, "Fire! Fire! Run to the river!" But though the animals heard his voice, and many did make it to the safety of the river, what could the others do, trapped as they were by the flames and smoke? So rather than flying off to safety himself, he continued circling over the raging fire, seeking some means of helping those who were trapped below. A desperate idea came to him. Darting down the river that flowed at the forest's edge, he dipped his body and wings into the dark water and then flew back to the fire, which was now raging like an inferno. Unmindful of the leaping flames, he dropped down low and rapidly shook his wings, releasing the few precious drops of water which still clung to his feathers. They tumbled down like little jewels into the heart of the blaze. Again, he flew to the river and dipped in his body and wings, and again he flew back over the flames. Again and again, he flew between the river and the forest, many, many times. His feathers grew greasy and ragged and black, and his eyes burned red as coals. His lungs ached, and his mind danced dizzily with the spinning sparks. But still the brave little parrot flew on. What, after all, can a bird do in times like these? He said to himself, but fly. So fly I shall, and I won't stop if there's even a chance I can save a single life. Now, some of the godly beings of the higher realms, relaxing in their palaces of ivory and gold, saw the little parrot below them as he flew among the leaping flames. Between mouthfuls of sweet foods, they pointed him out, and some of them began to laugh. What a foolish little bird, they said, trying to put out a raging fire with just a few sprinkles of water from his wings. Who ever heard of such a thing? Why, it's absurd. But one of the gods found himself strangely moved by what he saw. Taking the form of a golden eagle, he let himself be drawn down into the parrot's fiery path. The little parrot was just nearing the flames again when suddenly a huge eagle with eyes like molten gold appeared at his side. "Go back, little bird. Your task is hopeless," pronounced the eagle in a solemn and majestic voice. "What can a few drops of water do against a blaze like this? Turn around and save yourself before it is too late." But the little parrot would not listen. He only continued to fly doggedly on through the flames. He could hear the great eagle flying above him now as the heat grew fiercer, still calling out, "Stop! Stop! Foolish little parrot, save yourself! Save yourself!" But the little parrot only continued on. "Why, I don't need a great, shining eagle to give me advice like that," he thought to himself. "My own mother, the dear bird, could have told me such things long ago. Advice," he coughed. "I don't need advice. I just need someone to pitch in and help." And the great eagle, seeing the little parrot flying so steadily on through the searing flames, thought with shame of his own privileged kind. He could see the carefree gods looking down from above as if life was just a game for others to live. He could hear their laughter, still echoing, while many creatures cried out in fear and pain from the flames just below. All at once, he no longer wanted to be a god, or an eagle, or anything else. He simply wanted to be like that brave little parrot and to help. "I will help," he said, and flushed with these new feelings, he began to weep. Streams and streams of sparkling tears poured from his eyes and washed down in waves like cooling rain upon the fire, upon the forest, upon the animals, and upon the little parrot himself. Deluged with the gods' shimmering tears, the flames died down and the smoke began to clear. The little parrot himself, washed and bright, rocketed above the sky like a little feathered sun. He laughed aloud. "Now that's more like it." Tears dripped quietly from all the burned branches and scorched buds, which began to send forth green shoots and stems and leaves. Teardrops sparkled on the parrot's wings, too, and dropped down like petals upon the burned and blackened ground. Green grass began to push up from among the still glowing cinders. Then all the animals looked at one another in amazement. All were whole and well. Up in the clear blue sky, they could see their friend, the little parrot, looping and soaring and flying happily on and on. Hooray, they suddenly cried. Hooray for the brave little parrot and for this sudden, miraculous rain. What a cool story, especially, just in general about helping others in the most common sense, but also thinking about the tears of God and Goddess, the tears of compassion and joy that they shed for all beings, and the healing that is in that as well. I don't believe in this story how they portray, these they say gods, which technically gods with a small g could be negative entities. But as far as the beings that are in heavens above, I believe that, like the book of Enoch talks about, that they are prayerful beings, and that being in these heavenly realms actually require being heavenly beings. It's not just a default place that, frankly, that you get to go even if you act badly and then just pray at the end of your life. Of course, reaching out for the hand of mercy in whatever way you choose to do will help you ascend the golden ladder, but it's still not that the third salvation and the actual dedicated friendship and relationship and twinship that comes when we are on the path of discipleship and we're dedicated to that path. And it's not just taking the hands of mercy blindly, it's knowing Lord and Lady Christ and doing their way, much more active than just believing and having faith. Really, really love that story. It's kind of just goes to show also how we can all be of help. I love how the bird's like, hey, everyone run to the water. And then as soon as they get there, everyone's like, all right, cool, we're safe. And unfortunately, that is often the case in this world. And if the powers that be have their way, which we can fight against every day by our right deeds, they would have us in those situations, in the troublesome times of war and pestilence and famine, and really wanting us to all be selfish in that manner. One of the cool things about the Megillah, the scriptures in the Magdalene, when she takes Sarah Jaleel around to seize the end days, talks about how this world is a cosmic school and that they don't step in too early because two things. One, they want to know who will retain natural consciousness. That's part of the actual battle. Will you give up your natural consciousness to become transhuman, to become enslaved light, to take the Neuralink chip in your brain, take the chip in your hand? All of these different things that they are trying to pull us towards is that artificial future. So that is one of the first things that they want to see, who will retain their natural consciousness. But the part that I really like about that, the second part, is that it says that they want to see people of all religions. It's not, we want to see only the people that follow the Megillah and believe every single thing that we believe. We want to see the good things they do. No, it says we want to see what the good things that people of all of the religions do, the good-hearted people. And that's part of accepting the hands of mercy, being part of these different organized religions and understanding people's different spiritual development, and how, especially when we're born into different situations, our spirituality, our religion is often just given to us, and it is like everyone has a different form of blinders on, a different bubble that they live in. And once we, start taking off those blinders and being dam breakers and going through the bubbles that we've been placed in, and really starting to become who we are, by shaking off all that stuff, the expansion of existence, consciousness, and bliss. Consciousness is part of that. So we get more insight, and we we can see further, we can see a bigger picture, we can see more of the details, we can understand more of the picture and how people are at different places and how all different things fit into each other. So we all have a role to play in the last days, which is what we're in. In the Holy Megillah, it talks about us being in the time of the sixth trumpet, where man merges with machine. And unfortunately, as the prophecy describes, it gets to a point where, if you don't accept the artificial upgrades, you get outcast from society and, Terminator style, robots chasing after us type thing. And yeah, it'll be important to see what kind of role that we play going forth and how we interact with all of the different things. I don't want to leave it with that negativity, because we can change things, and that's what makes it really exciting. All of the different prophecies in the Megillah are followed by the message of hope, saying that, we don't have to go down that path. It is a choice. These prophecies aren't, when people point to the mainstream Bible and they'll say, well, the powers that be are making this happen to fulfill these prophecies. In the Holy Megillah, it's not saying that, Lord and Lady Christ are going to do these things. These are just this is the natural progression of things, of the satanic way, the path that goes against Yah towards artificial consciousness. So there's like a gradual step that the powers that be play by the natural the gradual planting and gardening of seeds, right? They don't just come out on day one to Adam and Eve and be like, hey, let me, put you into this, and let me make you enslaved light and all this stuff, right? They start with killing. They start with different, seeds that they plant along the way. So all of these things have been going towards that. It's not that the Megillah is saying that these things have to come to pass, or that they're, I guess I'm just trying to explain that it's just the natural path of things, not the way that things have to go if we change course, where we're embracing the sun and all of this wonderful free energy around us. And let's bring that on. Let's get back to that solar civilization where we understand the sun and all of the energy and the not just the physical energy from standing here, and you can literally charge your battery, so to speak, by standing out in the sun. But a physical battery can be charged by it. We can literally power our electronics and different devices by using the energy of the sun. So we needed to get back to that. David, he says, God and Goddess, please guide us to transform this world into a garden paradise. Amen and a woman to that. I am getting ready, I think tomorrow actually, to head up towards Florence. This weekend is at church. If you haven't signed up for the Zoom link, you can go on the Essene.org website in the videos tab and enter your email and be sent the Zoom link when it goes out. I will be there at church and having a cool new segment that is going to be appearing in church. So I'm really, really excited about that. And we'll keep you updated. I will be here tomorrow. Well, not here, but here virtually with you to do the noontime peace contemplation. But I'm not going to plan on doing the 3:30 because I'm going to be traveling up to Florence. Speaking of Florence, shout out to Bob. Bob sent me an email that says, let me actually just pull it up, that there is this light. I don't remember what the E stands for, but anyways, harmonic healing .janeapp.com, and it's called the Light System. Anyways, it's a harmonic healing center, and this I actually only barely looked at it, but I wanted to say thank you because I did receive your email, and I appreciate. Bob gave me a gift card to visit this harmonic healing center in Florence for a healing session. So thank you, Bob. I'm excited for all the great technologies, like you mentioned in in your email, you got to be aware of and familiar with the possibilities for services that could be offered at a forthcoming wellness center in Mount Shasta. Think big, woman. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. And I would love a wellness center. I've mentioned before, just before I get off of here, about the the building in Mount Shasta that I would really love to be acquiring, and having a vegan cafe and bookstore and having the church operate out of that. If there was a bigger building that was bought, then we could have more room for some of those healing technologies, and even maybe a med bed if somebody wanted to purchase one and put it in there. I know there's so many different types of awesome healing modalities. We're talking about technology and kind of that aspect, but even as the simple light therapy of being in the sun and being exposed to different colors. Like, colors make us feel different ways. They can invoke peace and happiness and joy. They can make us feel fear. They can make us feel uncomfortable. So color therapy in its most general form all around us, sound therapy, even going out and listening to nature and not having all of the music around us. So great ways to naturally heal ourselves, that they're also bringing in technological ways as well. Realistically, we should be leaning towards the natural in all the different ways. So when you start aligning yourself with Yah's way and doing the upward spiral, so your thoughts, words, and deeds are expanding your existence, consciousness, and bliss. They're making you vibe higher, not lower. They're not, degrading thoughts that make you feel guilty and shameful and all of those, negative things that again put blinders and put bubbles around us, like cutting us off from that higher spiritual knowledge and wisdom, and even feelings, being able to feel connected to God and Goddess and feel their love on a more tangible level. So the more that we purify ourselves, the more that we can connect with those energies, the more our bodies are going to naturally heal anyways. You don't need anything fancy. You just need to align with Yah's way, because your body was designed using Yah's way, and that is the expansion of existence, consciousness, and bliss. Your body is literally a self-healing machine. So all of these mechanisms literally want to heal you already, and to make you the best version of you that you can be at this point in time. And unfortunately, it's always us that gets in the way. We're eating things that are wrong. We're consuming food, water, air, different things that are hurting that progress. So anyways, Healing Center in Mount Shasta, I would love that. I will see you tomorrow for the noontime peace contemplation. I hope that you have a wonderful day. I will report really quickly also that my Megillah projects are going really well. So I'm super excited about that. That's why I haven't been reading from the Megillah, because I've been trying to focus on getting some of that stuff done, because we're on a really short deadline. So thank you for your grace in allowing me to pause the reading, but it is paying off. So have a wonderful day. May God and the Goddess bless you.